before here.
Well, we have figures from the silent era right up to the 1970s, and these are Boris Karloff, Vincent Price, Bela Lugosi, Lon Chaney, and many others, including my great uncle, who was the very first werewolf in film. That was The Werewolf of London in 1905. So that was 6 years before Lon Chaney Jr. was the Wolfman.
Yeah, it's crazy.
That's incredible. That's incredible.
It's a cool. I mean, so we've been up here working, man. This is a new location. I met Cortland about 5 years ago when I moved up here to Connecticut. You know, somebody tipped me off that, there's a guy who has this really crazy haunted house type attraction. They totally downplayed it. I didn't realize what all it was at first, but I realized that he was playing movies in the off season. And I say off season, like
on real film.
So we started coming up and checking everything out and got to be really good friends that way. And you were there for like 5 years, right?
At the other location. Yeah. And don't forget, you were the first to have your wedding at the Witch's Dungeon.
That's right, man. I got married at the Witch's Dungeon.
Really?
Yeah, I got married by Vincent Price's daughter, Victoria.
That's right. I remember you saying that.
But so, like, literally 2 months ago, right before this season's supposed to start, because opening night was October 1st, I get the call from Cortland that he's moving. And he's got this new location. It's about 10, 15 minutes down the road from the old place. But, I mean, you know how it's like, man, just moving gear in. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like ants. How, like, laborious that is, and everything's got to be exact. We're moving
sets,
figures, lighting, everything. So
and a lot of it is very delicate. So it was tricky moving it all, even though it was only 15 minutes away. But still, it's a tremendous lot. And if you ever come to see it, you can see what we mean.
Yeah.
With sets and the figures and the props and everything.
Well, if you have a ticket to All Hallows stream this weekend, then you're going to see it, because we actually have included at the very top of that a tour of the whole dungeon. We're going to give you like a little sneak preview, you know what I mean? Just show everybody a little bit of what it's like here, because it's really awesome. But we'll have the whole thing guided and everything on the thing we're doing this weekend. But man, we were here working. I know when I was talking to you a couple of times, you're like, what's that noise? It's like staple guns and hammers. Like, no, we were here for like 12 hours a day that last week.
Trying to get it ready that we could open.
The paint was still wet when we opened, so.
People are super stoked about it. People are commenting that they have their ticket.
Yeah.
And so, yeah, everyone's super stoked to see what's going on over there. The pictures of the set were amazing. So, yeah, I'm stoked to see what you guys got going on over there. So you're doing actually like a virtual tour too?
Yeah, so it's going to start here at the Witch's Dungeon. It's going to start, I mean, there's over how many figures here that we have?
22.
22 figures. And as you can see, I mean, you got Nosferatu back here. They're all life-size. They all have their own individualized sets. So the tour is about 15 minutes. Do you know what I mean?
Well, a little more like 20. Well, I mean, when you come in
when
person,
you come here, yeah.
Because we also have original movie props and movie makeup for you to see as well, which you aren't going to see on the video.
And we'll probably take you guys in there if you're interested here later. We've got stuff from the original Star Wars. We've got stuff from original Raiders of the Lost Ark.
The Exorcist.
We've got the head from The Exorcist, just to name a few things. It's pretty cool.
That's badass. Yeah.
There's all kinds of cool shit here. So, but yeah, everybody's been super cool, man. And then it ends in the show. We're the last attraction is the way we're setting it up. Like, and the final attraction is if we make all ourselves, and then the concert starts. And dude, it was a total fluke how that happened. We were originally going to do it in like this main section of the Witch's Dungeon, but once everything got put in here, we ran out of room. So the guy who does all the lighting in here, Bill Diamond, he's an Emmy award-winning lighting designer. He worked for Jim Henson. He's worked on Sesame Street. He worked.
Yeah, I saw your Instagram post about that. That's pretty badass.
Yeah, you know, I'm not trying to be like named like, oh, he does this, but it's really fucking cool, man. Like,
yeah.
You know, it's not like we just lit it up. We got a guy who's like, this is what he does. He's got 3 Emmys, man, and he had that whole set. And we saw it. We were like, yeah, we got it. And he had all those puppets. So everything just kind of clicked. Because it's kind of weird, man. The whole impetus for us to want to do this Halloween show was the fact that our tour got canceled twice.
Right.
We haven't done shit in 10 years, man. And then impeccably, we picked the right time to go on tour.
Perfect.
It's like everyone's kind of getting, like, including us, like excited, let down, excited, let down. So I was like, we need to do something that we can be in control of. As weird as it is, you know, the virtual realm, we wanted to do something. And the fact that now we got to have puppets and we got to have sets, it really came together, man. It wasn't awkward at all. It's not like you're kind of just hanging out watching, you know, guys try to figure it out, you know.
It's pretty spectacular the way it's going to be put together.
That's awesome.
Yeah, Cortland,
people are asking where this location is. Actually, you know.
So we are at 103 East Main Street in Plainville, Connecticut.
And not only are we open this weekend, we will be open next weekend as well. And it's going to be open all year round, but we're going to shut down for 1 week because we're going to have something nobody's ever done before, a Monsters holiday. And that'll start on November 20th. And all the characters are going to be decked out for the holidays.
It's going to be a Halloween Christmas mashup.
That's awesome.
So yeah,
you guys are doing a whole bunch of cool shit.
Yeah.
It's wild, man. Like, there's not a day that goes by that like we're not working on this.
It's going to be a lot of fun.
But yeah, so it's open year round now. Before, like,
is the moving part of it still done? Or are you guys still transporting things from one location to the other?
We pretty much have it all here, except for us. The two of us are going to really work together on transforming it into a Christmas wonderland for monsters, sort of Christmas in Transylvania.
That's awesome.
Yeah, so it's all pretty much here. It's just now other things need to get moved in for that whole area, that angle.
Right.
But yeah, man, I mean, you know, if you come in here, and I mean, it's, as you said, it's open on the weekends now, you know what I mean, for Halloween, and actually extended 1 more weekend. But after this, it'll be year round, which is cool. After, well, as you said, we'll shut down, do the Monster Holiday, but beginning of 2021, you know, it's still open too. Like, there's a lot of, regulations.
They just have to go to the website. Oh yes, that's what I should mention. The only reason we can be open is we have to limit it very strictly to 5 people on each tour. And of course, everyone has to wear masks and not Halloween masks, protective masks.
Right.
And so that's why we suggest people check the weather before they come, that they either bring umbrellas or they dress warmly, because unfortunately, because of this, that we can't have that many people in the building, they may have to wait in line beforehand.
But it's awesome because the fact that it's a smaller tour, it's much less crowded. You know what I mean? Like, it's more impersonal, I think.
Yeah.
A nice personal feel. Yeah. That sounds fucking awesome, guys. That's really cool. I saw Sean Glonick came up too to record audio for you guys.
Yeah.
How'd that go? How's he doing? I saw that's quite the freaking rack he has, man.
Dude, that's his studio.
Yeah?
Well, I mean, that's the nuts and bolts of it, yeah. So, you know, we've been working on Nosferatu, the DVD, the score, for 2 years now going on.
Right.
Partially because of the COVID thing, it had to take a hiatus. But, you know, we were wrapping all that up when this whole idea, you know, kind of came into fruition. And, you know, I knew we needed to get some type of audio captured, like, good. You know, it couldn't be onboard camera. So I asked him, I was like, hey, do you want to come down and do this, man? And he's like, you know, I don't even think that I'm set up for it. All my stuff is here. So it's kind of like up in the air if he was going to do it. And then the next thing I get is a picture of all his shit in HBO cases. And I was like, does this mean yeah? And he's like, yeah, I'm coming, man. I can't miss this. This is too good.
That's
it's the
awesome.
First thing Blitzkid's recorded. I mean, dude, it's studio quality. It's live, but it's the first album of any material, I guess, because technically we could take this, you know, audio off. It's separate on its own. We still have, you know, video quality recordings.
That's badass.
Cool. Yeah.
Oh, it sounds very good. Steve played some of it for me. It sounds tremendous.
What kind of camera setups are we looking? How many cameras were there shooting you guys? What can we look forward to? Is there multiple?
We had 3. So we had one Steadicam. We had one that was on a jib, you know, kind of moving from above and down. And then we had another one that was, I mean, I don't know what it technically is, but It's all, you know, it sounds so dated. Oh my, it's all state of the art, but you know what I mean.
Right.
It's got
Should have had drones hovering above you and around you as you're playing.
Yeah, and so we filmed up here too, as I said, like at the dungeon, like this whole tour part. We had our buddy Paul Acker down in Philadelphia, awesome tattoo artist. He did Ghost Light Waltz, the music video for the Goolsby thing. Him and Josh Petrino, their crew, they got all this filmed up here. So it's been a lot, man. It's been a big production. A lot of people are involved. We have Adam from Horror Show Pictures editing all this stuff together, putting it together. So all the footage was given to him. And Adam, I've had him on my show before. A lot of people know who he is. He's done the Uninvited video, the In Vote of Light video, a lot of Shadow Windhawk stuff, Zombie Cop, a lot of stuff.
Yeah, that guy's awesome.
He's great, man. So he's putting some magic on it.
That's cool.
The video quality is really excellent. I've seen it. It looks great.
The lighting's perfect, man. It's like you're playing in a it's like Technicolor, you know what I mean?
Right.
Like a Famous Monsters magazine cover. So
are you guys playing? I don't remember seeing this, but like, are you guys playing on a stage or just like a set?
It's a set.
Okay.
Yeah, it's a set. There's like a staircase on one side, a fireplace on the other, like a chandelier. It's everything, man. It's like
awesome.
my first apartment, dude. It's pretty cool.
And then we also brought several of the figures from the Witch's Dungeon to put on the set besides.
Yeah. So they're all hanging out. We got this guy back here looming behind the bass amp, and Frankenstein's monster behind Benny. Phantom of the Opera's over by TV. Dracula. It's crazy.
Right on. I know. I guess the one thing we'll be missing from this concert is obviously the audience feel. But not only that, but like, you know, when you guys were playing, even when we play, we're like, there's a pressure to play. Like, let's just keep playing more songs. Yeah. How long is the set list? What are people looking forward to here?
So it clocks in right over an hour in terms of the show, but we have some really cool, and I told you about this, we've got some cool performance stuff that isn't us.
Right.
We think of a variety show, you know what I mean? So we started adding some elements to this that make it more than just a concert. So with that included, it'll be a little bit over an hour. And yeah, man, it was weird not having an audience, which is why the puppets came in. It was hilarious, man. I mean, we literally played for Cortland and like 4 other people. Yeah, the entire time there was nobody there. Like the song would be over and it's literally like somebody yawning. You know what I mean?
Tell me, like, when you're performing this, because I mean the pressure's on. You're recording this. Yeah. You know, what are you feeling there? Are you? I don't know. It would just feel awkward, right? You're playing this show that you're not in front of anyone. There's no urgency to like. Yeah. How'd you feel like playing that? Was it super weird? Like, what was the feeling?
No, you know, it really wasn't, man. One, because we had an awesome set around us. You know what I mean? Like, if 2001 Blitzkid could have seen 2020 Blitzkid, we would have been going
right.
Nuts. And that's what it was. And that's another part of it, man. You know, it's fun to play these songs. You know, Blitzkid stopped for a while. We were, in hiatus. We were cryogenically frozen in the universe for a while, but it was never because it was like, fuck this music. We don't like it anymore. So to be able to play those songs again with my friends, like me and TV, dude, we've known each other. We're probably like legally married in some states, man, as far as I know. You know what I mean? Like, so to get up there and play those songs and have that, that's all really we needed, man. You know, that was our start. And dude, keep in mind, we played for nobody for half of our career. So I'm used to it. Like it was like, thanks, Denver. It was like a guy like, yeah, I'm Denver.
Right.
So it's like, that's nothing for us, man. It's part of it.
Yeah, I've been there too.
But we knew the puppets were in there, and we went back on the puppets separately, and I ended up getting to puppeteer most of it. So it's like I've got dual roles in this. Like I'm talking to Nosferatu, and then I'm actually back there puppeteering Nosferatu. So, and I'm gonna tell you straight up, puppeteering a lot harder than it looks.
Yeah.
Not easy, man. Not easy.
Tell them about Monitor for doing puppeteering.
So yeah,
Do you have a guy teaching you?
No, yes and no. Yes, but the guy who taught me, it was a big no, and I say that lovingly. Bill Diamond's amazing. But he threw me into the fire. Like he was like, "Look, I'm gonna need you to puppeteer, but I'm also gonna need you to run camera." And I'm like, okay. Like, what do I do? He's like,
got thrown into the deep end, son.
Yeah, he's great, man. I'm busting his balls. He's great. He's like, you'll figure it out. You'll figure it out. So I'm on the camera, and the way that it works is he was puppeteering some of them, then I was puppeteering them, but he has a monitor, so he could watch himself. So he's got himself in frame. He can see everything that he's doing. The HDMI broke off in the port, and then he didn't have another monitor on set. So he's like, look,
really?
He's like, I'm flying blind, man. So just keep the camera on me as best as you can. So I'm moving this jib around with this camera, and it's like literally, the first time you ever picked up a PlayStation controller and you were like, what do I do? It was like that, man. And we're filming this. Like, this is it. We got to get the footage. So I was incredible. Sweating, man, making it happen, and
yeah.
But it was fun. It was a lot of fun.
But see, that's how the Muppets were done. They would have a monitor that they would see, what they were doing, and tell them how it is to do puppeteering, but looking at a monitor.
Yeah, everything's in reverse. So you know what I'm saying? If you want to go left, you got to go right.
Oh, so they don't even have the reverse function, so you can at least.
Yeah,
I got you.
So you have to be cognizant of everything that you're doing, and everything is in frame. Like right now, I mean, I've been walking for 40 years. I can sit up straight, but puppets don't do that. Puppets do this. So, you know what I mean? If you're not watching it, like the second, it's like when you're driving and you do this. The second you take your eyes off the screen, they go like this.
Right.
So,
How often did you get dyslexic where you're like, oh, I want to go this way, but you're like, oh, shit.
Oh, dude, we were doing a bit on one of the little things I was telling you about, and I kept bumping into the other puppet. Like it was just, and he was rolling with it. He was like, "Are you drunk?"
That's great.
I was like, "No, sir." So, well, I gotta tell everybody, man. Maybe I should. I want to tell everybody like the little thing.
No. Let's keep surprises for people, man. Like, it'll be cool when they. What?
You can tell them it's a good surprise, right?
It is a good surprise. It's gonna be awesome. I'm stoked to see it, man. Fucking, I'm ready to see that shit rock. It's really strange waiting so long for something like this to happen, and now this is the only way we're gonna get it. We're gonna get it, right? Like, it figures.
Hey, if anything, it sets the stage for next year. We're still touring, man. I mean, it's going to happen. Virus or not, it's going to happen.
Right.
Eventually.
Who's on drums? Is it Benny?
Yeah, Benny Austin from the band Damnation up in Massachusetts. He's drumming for us on that tour, and he's how on the stream this weekend. So
how was playing with Benny for the first time? Those songs, at least.
It was great, man. I mean, Benny's such a great drummer. I mean, that's why he's here with this. Does his homework. Total in the pocket, solid. If you need to go faster, it's like he knows. Like you know how it is, man. When you're playing with somebody, and then you look back and you make that communication. He just knows. Like I'll be turning, and before he even knows I'm turning, I'm like, that's where we need to be. Okay, cool. Like it's like you can perceive what's happening.
I was about to ask you. I know he's a click track guy.
Yeah.
Did you play to a click, or were you just like, let's not do that?
So we did. On some songs, and some songs we didn't because they don't really require it. Some of them are just it. You know what I mean? They don't require it. It's not needed.
Right.
And I had never, ever, ever entertained the idea of playing to a click track before, just because that's nothing we ever did. One, we barely understood how stage monitors work, much less how we put everything into a click track and then follow that logically.
Right.
But that's how Benny works, man. And, I was a little reticent about it to begin with. But what sealed it for me was last year. This time last year, the Roving Midnight was out west. And we were doing 5 or 6 shows.
And he played, right?
Yeah. So all of Damnation was backing me up. We had Isaac, we had Brad, we had Benny, but we also had Emilio.
Mm-hmm.
So that was the Roving Midnight. and Benny had been, playing all the stuff to a click. And at rehearsals, at first, it was a little weird because, when you're playing live, and you know how it is, you have a tendency to want to push the song. And that's
I know.
live. All it takes is one domino to fall. All it takes is one dude in the band to go like, I feel like going faster. And then before you know it, everybody's flying. And that works in some situations and scenarios. That works. That was always kind of what made Blitzkid, honestly, where we were kind of a train wreck in a way. But it was like a really fun train wreck to watch. We were a live band. We still sounded good, but it was just like chaos, man. We were one of those bands that if you got too close to the stage, you never knew what was going to happen. And that's what made up for all of the, inherent musical, issues from time to time. But
when you guys had Stripes, you guys were flying, dude.
Oh, dude, I watch videos sometimes, and I feel like the Micro Machines guy singing. But I felt like we were playing so slow. Everything was like very slow. But after a few practices, I was like, wow, I can still breathe. This is amazing. And which means I can sing longer. I can sing better. It's all about sustainability. So it's a better performance. It's a better product not product, but a better, performance.
I had the same experience because when Adam jumped on drums with us, we decided to do this thing where we play with the click. Because if you remember, we were having all these fucking issues.
Oh God.
Where, you know what I mean? Yeah. Like, I don't want to get into it here, but you know what I'm talking about. Of just like the dynamics and nuances of the song. And we just kept having it no matter what the fuck was in the band at that point. And I just told Adam, like, you know what? Let's try it with a click track. Let's click it like maybe, I don't know, 4 BPM faster than the studio version, but let's try to keep it tame and to the thing. And my God, dude, like, at first I felt the same way. We're going in slow motion. I feel like I'm stuck in the mud. But then hearing it back afterwards, and then after a few more rehearsals, like, this is what we needed. Like, it needs that time and space. It was that BPM on the record for a reason, because it moves the right way. It fucking feels right. It's just that adrenaline push that you get when you're live that makes you super anxious like that. Once we got used to that click, dude, it was night and day, bro. It was it finally felt like the song. You know?
No, I feel you, man. I mean, there are certain songs in the Blitzkid catalog which really benefited from having a click, such as "Let's Go to the Cemetery." It's got more of a swing to it.
Right.
There are times that we played that song where it was just almost like a ska song. It was just all upstrokes the whole time. And that's fine. I hear live recordings of it sometimes. I just start laughing because it's like, it's great. I enjoy every minute of it. But like, this is not what we wrote, man. This is not
right. This is not the same song. Yeah.
Like this is not what we wrote. But,
damn. That's cool. So yeah, I'm happy that Benny knocked it out of the park for you guys.
Yeah, man, he's doing great.
And how was Tracy is up there now, or what the fuck?
No. He's living back in Virginia now.
Okay. And how was his interaction with all this? Is he into it? Is he like, I don't know about this? What's going on with him?
Oh no, man. No, he's totally into it. This is the whole his idea. He's like, let's do a Halloween store. I've had all these things on my plate for the past few months with, the Nosferatu score. We did the documentary, The Phantom, Unmasking the Masterpiece. There's all these things that are happening. And I was like, yeah, man. So when he hit me up, I was like, let's do this. I was like, absolutely, man, let's do it. So it's good to be back in that headspace, man, to where like, we're all about doing stuff,
Right.
Feels good.
It's cool how it worked out from the idea of like streaming a concert, of how you guys started out and to what you ended up with is fucking phenomenal.
Well, I think it's going to be very spectacular because I was there when they were filming it, and it looked great, sounded great, and I think people are going to enjoy it.
Yeah, man, we always try to, we're always attention to detail. We never just try to put a thing out unless it's the best thing we can do.
Right. Getting questions over here. Is the stream just going to be that one live stream and that's it, or are people going to have a chance to watch it again and after it's over? Like, what is the deal with that?
So if you get it, that's the thing. If you get the ticket, then you get to watch it. So we don't want to put it up afterwards, because then it's just like, what's the point in someone having bought a ticket if we're just going to put it up on YouTube, right? So we're trying to keep it exclusive to where, it's accessible through the ticket, through the access code, but it's available for 24 hours. I mean, we're starting at 9. It airs at 9 Eastern. So, New York standard.
I think that's what people are curious about. What will they be able to watch it if they don't catch it right when it's aired?
Yeah. You don't have to watch it at 9 o'clock on Halloween. It'll be up for 24 hours. So as long as you can get in with it somewhere between, before 9 p.m. on the 1st of November, the next night, you have 24 hours.
Cool.
So whatever time that is in, around the world, do the math. But
yeah.
And then after that, we've toyed. People have asked us if we're going to do a DVD, and we have all the footage. And I think we may consider doing that, because there are more songs that we did that we're not putting on the stream. So therefore, if we do end up putting out a DVD, it's not as if like, well, oh, okay, well, I saw the stream. There's going to be more special features and behind the scenes stuff. I mean, you saw the place that we were recording at. We talked about it. We have all kinds of cool stuff. There was like freaking Big Bird, man, from Sesame Street right off the set the entire time we were playing. So
that's awesome.
A lot of cool stuff, man.
Yeah, so I guess that was the biggest fucking question about that.
Yeah. And earlier that night too, I just want to throw it in there. I mean, it's kind of like the opening act is we're premiering the score. Well, Nosferatu with the score that I wrote for it. So that's happening at 7, and then round about 8 o'clock, that's done. I'm going to make the score live on the store. So there's going to be the DVD. There's going to be a whole line of merch, which I haven't even put up yet. People are just going to see it. And so you'll have about an hour, 45 minutes to an hour interim before the Blitzkid thing starts at 9.
Nice. Yeah, you've been working on the score. Been working on the score for a minute. How are you happy with it? What's going on?
Dude, I love it, man. And I didn't think I was going to say that, to be honest with you. Like, there were points and times along the way where I was just like, what have I gotten myself into? I'll be honest with you, man, because, it all happened with Cortland. I was up here, hanging out, watching a movie one night.
More importantly, is Cortland happy with it?
Oh, I'm thrilled with it, as a matter.
Right on.
I'm not kidding. Because when we talked about it, I said to Steve, what nobody has ever done with a silent movie score, Kino Video, I don't care which one put it out. There's one thing they forgot about. Years ago, besides having a live orchestra, they would also have a sound effects man. And there would be sound effects which would bring you into the movie more so than, it was a combination of the music and the sound effects that made it more real for you.
Right.
So that's, Steve agreed with me that would be a great thing to add to it. So that's what he's done. But not only that, but he has created themes for each of the characters. So each of the characters in there, and there's variations on those themes. And that's what brings you into this story. Plus, what I love about it is that he created music once they're in Transylvania or going towards Count Orlok's castle. It has that gypsy feel of Romania and Transylvania. And it's the way he created the music. I think people are going to be amazed at what Steve has created.
I hope so. Yeah, man. Thank you.
So you're doing when a door closes, like you really went in depth as far as all the sound effects there, and.
But it's not. I didn't just use a door closing for.
Right.
I used just random effects sounds that would indicate that like a door closing, but
some of them are musical effects.
Yeah, that kind of musical sounds, but it's all punctuated. All the music is punctuated to the action happening on the screen.
Gotcha.
And the way that I approached it is because it's a long movie, man.
Right.
An hour. That's not long, but it's a long movie to write a score to. If you've never written one before, that's a lot of time to fill up.
Take me to the process. Are you watching what? I'm trying to ask the right question. obviously you're doing like several multi-track. This is like a really in-depth kind of thing, right? Are you sitting there through each track watching the movie? Like, did you rehearse a whole bunch of times before you actually put things down when you knew what you wanted? Like, how did you approach recording this?
So the very first step was I sat down and I watched the movie.
Mm-hmm.
And then I was like, all right, I need to break this down into pieces, because one thing that I don't like about old silent movie scores is they tend to just have a boilerplate orchestral score in the back that has nothing to do with the movie. And it starts at, like 1 second and it goes for an hour. And it's just this amorphous, kind of boring score.
Exactly.
Yeah, I know what you're talking about. They kind of just like, there's
Right.
crescendos and then they try to creep it back down for like, I know what you mean.
Or they'll hold a chord for the longest time.
Right.
To kill like 4 or 5 seconds, but it doesn't follow the movie. It doesn't benefit the movie. And that's what I wanted to do was keeping in mind what Cortland had requested about sound effects. I was like, all right, well, if that's the case, then this music needs to be punctuated to the action. So I really needed to watch. But again, there's so many different punctuations happening that I needed to break it down. And I'm approaching it from like, I guess like the rock and roll, writing a rock and roll record standpoint, and that is songs. So instead of making this one score, I wrote a bunch of songs and I strung them together. And the way that I determined what songs were was in the movie, you have scenes. The camera aperture opens like the old silent movie, the little black circle opens. That's the beginning of a scene. And until that camera closes, that's the end of the scene. So I counted every one of those scenes, and there were 24 of them that I worked with. So when one of those apertures would open, I would study that action, that mood, that emotion, and then try to write a song based on what was happening in that, for example, minute and a half. The second scene may be 2 minutes. So the songs vary depending on how long the scenes are. So as Cortland said, at the point that the characters reach Romania or, what's supposed to be Transylvania, the music starts to take that turn. And another thing that I wanted to do was start it out very idyllic, because when you watch the movie, it's very, exaggerated, like, oh, I'm carrying flowers, I'm smiling, birds are chirping, everything's happy. So it has a real period piece to it, kind of almost, I don't want to say cheesy, but very, there's a bravado to it.
Well, it was typical early 1920s style. It was a certain style of acting at that time.
Right.
But the whole movie that F.W. Murnau did, has a pace to it that it starts out, as you say, like that, but as it develops, it becomes a little more ominous as he approaches the castle. And
the music does that. So it starts out kind of like leading you in what the movie does. It is an oral progress of what you're seeing. The music changes as the movie changes. And what I started doing was I'm using a lot of violins, a lot of pianos, a lot of orchestral instruments at the beginning. And then I start creeping in all these synthetic, weird, distorted, dissonant, ominous sounds as the movie gathers momentum. So by the end of it, it's this weird combination of period piece style music with moody atmospheres. I mean, there's synth bass, crazy stuff.
There's also like undercurrent in there too that you created, like voices.
Yeah, so there's a couple of parts where you may see the character of Ellen take a breath. You'll hear a breath in the background. So there are those little things that kind of make you stop for a second and be like, well, wait a minute, I think I heard something that.
It's subtle, but it really it grabs you into the film. It makes the film more interesting to watch.
But that was the process, man. I got all the songs together. When I finished it, I was like, I did it on GarageBand. Originally, I had like the synthetic string section, like a few really crappy horn sections. Right. And I took that and I took it to Sean's down in New Jersey, and I sat down, and Chris White from, who's worked with me in Hollow Bodies and Blitzkid, he came up and worked out some stuff on guitar with me, and we just started recording. That was the plan. That's why I said when we first started, it was like there was no roadmap whatsoever. But it started picking up momentum. At no point during the recording of this thing did I know what we're gonna be ending up with. I really didn't. I didn't get that way until probably the last session, which was maybe 3 months ago. It was at that session when I really was able to see everything for what it was, and I was just like,
When did you start this?
I started it as soon as I got back from the tour that we did over in Europe in 2019.
I don't know. This year's been like 20 years, so I don't know. My sense of time is gone now. Like,
I know,
the
man.
tour that I did with you seems like forever ago.
I know. I feel you, man. I started writing it, demoing it out in. So Cortland mentioned it to me, and I think it was in the fall of 2018. I started writing it in like March of 2019. I got in studio in July of 2019. And we got up until August, like a couple of weeks, and then I had to take a break for a lot of reasons. And then, we got back into the studio, then coronavirus, COVID, all that stuff, hiatus again, so I finally got back in and finished it up at the end of the summer.
Right. So this is not just going to be then, because you said Chris like worked out some guitar parts. It's not just going to be this orchestral MIDI keyboard love affair. So you actually have like a very in-depth layered.
Oh yeah. It depends on what's happening. Like, so for example, the interior of the castle is supposed to be in the movie one of the most distorted, surreal aspects of the movie. So, and for that reason, there's less of the orchestration there. It's more ominous, synthetic MIDI sounds. But there are undercurrents of, violins there. It just depends on what's happening, which one rises to the surface. There's an interplay the whole time, which was really cool, man. It's just like the movie is light and shadow. That's all it is. And that's what I tried to do. When I saw light in the movie, I worked with that. When I saw shadow, I worked with that. And whichever one was dominating the scene, that's pretty much how I wrote the music.
Now you said there's 24 scenes, right? So did you try to sit and write 24 different songs, or sometimes scenes in movies rhymes, or did you like reprise certain things, kind of like a concept album where you kind of reprise ideas later on in the film?
The only thing that reprises is the motifs that I wrote. So I wrote a motif for Nosferatu. So for example, like Jaws, Michael Myers, all those things. There is a motif, but it changes. It changes.
You do variations
of it. That happens sometimes 2 or 3 times in a song. It only happens when Nosferatu appears on the screen. So, and that was what was a challenge. I may be playing something completely different. And I was like, oh shit, there's Nosferatu. How am I going to work this?
Right.
Like, I forgot he's going to show up here. I didn't think about that. How do I make this song work with that? Therein was one of the challenges, but you just put them together. And the way that it works is on the movie, when you're watching the DVD, they're all segue. I managed to find ways to end song 1 and blend it into the tips and tails of song 2, 3, 4, all the way through. But the bonus CD that comes with the DVD does not have that overlapping. They're just the songs by themselves as they are individually. The score itself are those songs. If you think of like, Power Rangers, you got all these little Power Rangers, and you got the one big one, in the DVD form.
Right. That's cool. So that'll air live the night of the show. You said that's like a kind of the pregame thing. Do you need a ticket for that too?
Yeah, so that's a separate event if you want to check it out. It's the same website. It's still at the Corpse with No Name, acwnnprod.com shows. People are probably so sick of hearing that URL at this point, man. I apologize. It's just a lot going on. So you can get a ticket for that, and then the other thing's separate. Because, if you don't want to watch it, we're not going to put that on the other thing, and you got to sit and wait through it. But
so after the premiere, that'll show up in your store, you said?
Yeah, so we're going to have the DVD, and the DVD comes with the movie. The movie has 10-minute behind-the-scenes making of this entire project, what we've been talking about, like studio stuff, transfer here at the Witch's Dungeon. We transferred the film. Cortland has it was a beautiful first-generation print of Nosferatu, which came from the Museum of Modern Art. We talk about this in the commentary of the movie, but without going too in depth, it was destroyed. The movie was ordered destroyed by the courts of Germany because of copyright issues with Dracula.
Bram Stoker's wife.
Yeah, his widow.
She
She went kind of all out on trying to eradicate that movie from the planet. And luckily, it got into other countries and it made its way here. And this is off of that first generation print. It's just like old tapes. When you dupe them too long, they start getting kind of like, eh.
And they get too contrasty too. That you lose a lot of detail in them.
The tonal quality on this, it's beautiful, man. It really is. And I redid all the cards. You know, where it says
very accurate to the script.
Yeah, the original German script cards. But I designed the title cards. I designed the lettering. It's not just like boilerplate, like, oh, it's Nosferatu, eek. You know, there's a lot of stuff that fits with what's happening in the movie.
It really makes the movie come more alive because the title cards are very accurate to what it should be.
Yeah, I think so. You know, like, so there's that. And then we have a commentary. I did a whole hour-long commentary on the movie where I talk about historical aspects of the film, little things happening in the film that are interesting to note. Right. As I said, we have the 10-minute behind-the-scenes thing. We also I hid 5 photo galleries in the movie. So you got to find them. And when you find them, one of the photo galleries is when Blitzkid went to Slovakia on our last tour as a band in 2012.
Right.
We were on our way through Slovakia. We were like, holy shit, Nosferatu's castle is along the way. They do tours. Let's go. So there's a whole photo gallery of photos we took there with the band. We've got photo galleries of some of the graves that I visited, like F.W. Murnau, who was the director of the movie. There's photo galleries of some artwork that I did, which I was revealing the other day. And there's like a whole woodcut gallery of artwork.
Oh, it's beautiful. It really is.
Thank you. And then there's a whole gallery of Cortland's film color restorations of film stills. He's an amazing film still restorationist, man. Like, straight up, when you see, he's got a knack. And I don't want to speak for you. I'm just thinking his praises right now. But tell him about if that's cool.
Well, we also worked together on the Phantom of the Opera Unmasking masterpiece, and in that one I restored, I lost count after 500 photographs and posters.
Wow.
You have to realize a lot of these old photographs, whether it's Nosferatu or Phantom of the Opera, if you can get original ones, which I always do. I know a lot of collectors, but they're in bad shape because they've been torn, they've been folded, there's some deterioration. So it takes hours, literally hours, to work on just one photograph to restore it.
It's Cortland's equivalent of sitting in the studio trying to work on the drum tracks.
Right.
It's like 9 hours later, I'm still on.
I got it, yeah.
But we also should mention that we have an introduction by Mark Hamill.
That's right, man. We have Luke freaking Skywalker introducing the movie for us.
Get the fuck out of here.
Yeah, man. That's all Cortland.
Well, Mark.
That's his buddy.
Mark and I have been...
fucking cockfist himself? Fucking Mark Hamill, all right.
Yeah. What Mark Hamill has said to me, he says, you know, Cortland, what's really more frightening than your witch's dungeon is the fact that we've known each other almost 40 years.
That's true, man.
But he loves this stuff. I mean, he even told me one time that when he did the first Star Wars, he was a problem for the effects and the prop people because he couldn't get enough of seeing what they were making for Star Wars. And they had to kick him out of there because he was just so excited about it.
Right. Wow, that's really fucking cool. I did not know that.
Yeah, he was like, hey, I know Mark is a very big fan of these old movies, so why don't I call him up and see if he wants to do an introduction? And I was like, no, that's not a good idea. No, I don't think so. That's like,
this was funny, though. When I asked Mark to do it, I said, I can always write the intro for you. He says, no, I'll write it myself. He says, I love the movie. So Mark actually... He wrote what he said. I didn't write it for him. He wrote it himself.
Yeah, it's crazy, man. That was the candle on top of the cake. When I finished this project and listened to it back, I was like, "Oh my God, that's Luke Skywalker."
So we know they didn't hire him on Fiverr. Okay, guys, he actually knows him. No. That's really cool. Yeah, man. Yeah, that's a whole lot. That's a culmination of a lot of fucking work finally all coming out now. So.
Well, both
really
Steve
awesome.
and I love the film. We've always loved this film, Nosferatu. And I'm hoping he's going to do another one because we kind of have a couple other classic German silent films that I have really nice prints of that Steve is thinking of doing. Now that he's tested the waters, I think he feels a little more confident about it.
Yeah, like I don't even care if everyone hates it. I hope they like it, but like I'm gonna keep making them. So
Right.
like,
That's good. So you had a good time then.
Yeah, dude, it was great, man. You know, and that doesn't mean in any way, shape, or form am I going to slow down and the gear I normally ride in. Like we've talked. I've got an entire album finished. If we can just get to the studio and do it now. So that's not like it's been eradicated from what I do, but I've definitely discovered a whole other aspect of songwriting that is a lot of fun, man. You know what I mean? Like it is. It as I said, you're tracking to a movie, and that was what was weird in the studio. My click track was the movie. I didn't have a click telling me what to do. I was literally watching, and I'm like having to anticipate when that door closes, and that's when this needs to happen. And trying to watch the movie, watch my hands, watch the movie, watch my hands while I'm playing piano, and it's just like somehow it worked, man. But I do want to say, like, one weird, like, offshoot of everything was when I was writing the scenes, I was watching those scenes, I would write everything out. So scene one, I wrote out what I saw, and then I wrote the music based on what I wrote. I did that for every one of them. So by the end of it, I had like a 38-page book. So that's why I started drawing pictures for each scene and made a book out of it. And that book is included in the DVD, minus the pictures. Otherwise, it would have been a 38-page DVD booklet. And that's just
right. You can't make that.
But the
that's
story,
too much. Yeah, that's cool.
But anyway,
so you get a lot with this. You always pack a good punch, man. Everything that you put out there is just chock full of stuff, man. It's always good.
Thanks, man. Yeah. Well, if you guys want to take a look at some of the stuff we got,
especially we should show them the Phantom because that's another project we worked on.
You got? I mean, is there do we have like a time?
Bro, this is I do what I want here. So
I do what I want.
Yeah, we do whatever we want right now. People are loving your attention to detail, the devotion that you pour into your art. Fucking people are just saying that they appreciate how you approach things. So yeah.
I appreciate everyone. That's why I do it, man. Again, like, I'm not going to lie and say that, like, at the end of the day, as I said, if no one likes it, that I'm going to feel bad. I wish I felt that way about stuff, but I don't. And but that being said, I always keep everyone who just said that in mind because I want to put stuff out there, dude. Man, we've been doing this for a long time, and I'm not trying to be like, oh, we're the old guys doing this, but like, like, that's why, man. I've been super fortunate. Everyone's been very like, oh man, that's so great what you're doing, and that's good, man. So I do it for all these people that give a shit,
I think one of the great things is the two of us are really perfectionists in what we do, and we love what we do. And that's why I've been doing the Witch's Dungeon since I was 13 years old. I started it. But we both have a lot of attention to detail, and we do it because we love it, and also that we like to make it extra special for the people that like the work we do.
Right, and that's the thing. Like, it took probably 3 days to hang that lantern right there.
Yeah, huh? That's fucking great.
Man. I mean, we're in this really awesome place. If it's cool, we're gonna give a quick tour of some of the stuff. We're not gonna do the whole tour because that's for this weekend.
Right.
But you guys have to see some of this stuff.
We'll show you Phantom and a couple other things that we have.
And the display room even.
Let's do it.
We could do that,
dude. He's here. He goes, man. Get ready.
Here we go, guys. We're going on a tour right now.
This is tour guide extraordinary. He has more stories and information about this stuff than anybody I know. He's a walking horror movie museum in his head.
Right.
It's amazing.
So he's going to pick you up and take you around.
All right. I apologize.
I'm going to take the blood border off your screen so we can see everything. Perfect.
Start with Dracula.
We want to start with Dracula. Okay.
We're going to go over here to the count.
There now.
All right.
So show you this is an actual, I don't know if you can see this from how I'm showing it. This is an actual live cast of Bela Lugosi.
Damn. I share a birthday with Bela Lugosi.
Taken around the 1940s. And you see, when I sculpt a head like this one of Bela for the life-size figure, you have to realize in the life cast, the eyes are closed when they take a life cast. But unfortunately, you know, Bela, so much of his expression comes from his eyes. And so that's why I have to resculpt the eye area when I do it. And of course, you know, complete the whole head.
Right.
So we use glass eyes in the figures, human hair, and a lot of detail. You can see the medallion on him is exactly like what Bela wore in the film. A friend of mine recreated it. And then also the Dracula ring that's on him is an exact replica of the ring. We even have that on the casket there, the Dracula crest.
And he actually owns one of Bela Lugosi's rings.
Yeah,
really?
It's in solid white gold, but I forgot to wear it tonight.
There's only 3 of them, right?
Yeah. And
incredible, man.
I mean, this is just one of the sets, and as you can see, the lighting is very colorful. Because we wanted to replicate that very intense color that the artist Basil Gogos did for the covers of Famous Monsters years ago, which I just love the look of that. And then if we go around the corner here, we have my all-time favorite, and that was Lon Chaney Sr. as the Phantom of the Opera, Eric here. And we have both Phantoms, the Opera Ghost. Of course, Chaney was master of makeup in the 1920s in the silent era, called the Man of a Thousand Faces. So he was one of the few actors that did his own makeup, and remarkable makeup. Especially something like this today, it would take like 8 or 10 people in a makeup staff to do it. But he just did it with a little makeup kit that he had, like mortician's wax and collodion and very crude materials to work from, and that's what he created. He created a living skull, really. Then up here we have, in the film, he goes to the masquerade ball and he spies on the opera singer and her lover, which he's in love, of course, with the opera singer, and he's dressed as the Mask of the Red Death in the film. And that's an exact replica. My mom used to be a costume designer. She worked on Broadway and other theatrical productions. So this is very accurate to the costume that Lon Chaney Sr. wore in the film. And then I also created the skull mask that he wore in it. So that's all in velvets and other materials that it's made of. And you can see also with Eric here, the glass eyes on him, and he looks quite real, especially when you see him in person. And then also we even have an organ here. This was created by Bill Diamond. It's his own design, but much more elaborate than the organ that you actually saw in the Phantom of the Opera movie. So it has a lot more to it than what was in the film. It didn't have the pipes in there, and I really loved the way Bill created that.
Wow.
So and then if we go around the corner, if you want to go around
bonus round.
What's that?
It's a bonus round.
Yeah.
Okay. Around the corner here, we have the Frankenstein Monster, and we did a recreation of one of the actual lab apparatus that was in Bride of Frankenstein. This is to the actual size what the original was. And of course, we have Boris Karloff as the Frankenstein Monster on the lab table, just ready to create havoc for the town.
Wow.
And Boris's real name was actually William Henry Pratt, which a lot of people don't realize. But the reason was his family, the Pratt family, 2 of his brothers were in Parliament, and he was considered the black sheep of the family. That's why he went by a different name. But then later, when he became a big star, then they wanted to know. They were
Right.
related.
Yeah.
Imagine.
Yeah, we messed up.
Yeah.
Sorry.
Hey, we love you.
Change it back, will you? No.
And then over here we have, that was my great uncle, Henry Howell, who was the very first Werewolf of London in 1935. That was 6 years before Lon Chaney Jr. was the Wolfman. So he was really the very first werewolf. And I was very proud of my great uncle because he was like Lon Chaney. He was a master of makeup, and he did a lot of work on the stage, so he did his own makeup on the stage. But when it came to Werewolf of London, they had a makeup artist union for film, and that's why he couldn't do his own makeup for that. And then, should we go along?
Sure.
Oh,
Yeah.
okay.
Yeah, let's see this guy.
This is the Fly from the original 1958 version.
It's incredible.
And that starred David Hedersen as the Fly. David was best known as Captain Crane on Voyage at the Bottom of the Sea. And the co-star who played his brother in the film was, of course, Vincent Price. And, of course, as you know, with the story that his atoms became mixed with that of a common housefly when he was transporting himself, and that's why he had the head, the claw of the fly, and the human hand. There was some of his humanity still left there. And then one of my favorite actors.
Tell him about your Uncle Louis making this stuff, if you don't.
Yeah, another uncle, my Uncle Louis, he was the one that made all these gadgets, which we used to call do-nothing machines. They look like they do a lot, but it's just a lot of different lights going on.
I have a few do-nothing machines.
Well, my favorite is one that we have over here, because this is the brain electrostabilizer, and I find out it helps a lot if I connect myself up to that once in a while. It really stabilizes things.
Can you please connect Goolsby to that?
Yeah, there we go.
Cryogenically freezing stuff. Way overrated.
And then over here we have Vincent Price, and Vincent was a great friend of mine because my uncle, Henry Hull, he appeared with Vincent in a movie called Master of the World. And so Vincent became a great friend, and this is one of my favorite characters he played, the abominable Dr. Fives, or Dr. Anton Fives. And in it, he was horribly disfigured because he was racing to the bedside of his wife when his limousine crashed over the cliff, and he couldn't talk or anything, but being a doctor of musicology and a lot of other things, he recreated his voice through this gadget that you see here, which is the Dr. Fives voice revitalizer. And it's a tongue-in-cheek film, but it's a lot of fun. It was actually created by one of the writers that did the Avengers TV show. And one of my favorite films. This gadget we recreated, it actually has a Morning Glory horn, a real Edison Morning Glory horn that's in copper, which was from the right era, because the film was supposed to take place in the 1920s. So whenever possible, we try to be as accurate as we can with the props as well as the figures and the costumes. So this is just a small sample, but when you see this on Saturday, it's going to be even more so. Oh, are we going?
Nope. Just sneak peek.
Bam!
That's all you get to see.
That's
There's still like 3 other wings to this place, man.
Yeah, guys, you could press pause later and see everything. So.
Yeah. And of course, we have Nosferatu the Vampire.
Yes, we have Nosferatu. We have Nosferatu today.
Yeah.
With his keys.
We just added the keys there day before yesterday. So where's the camera at on this thing? Or the
You're looking right at it.
Is everybody still with us?
Yeah, all the people are marking out. They
cool.
love the tour.
Oh,
Awesome.
Great.
They love us, Cortland. They really love us.
Yeah.
So we're gonna take you to the prop room. You got to see some of this stuff, man.
Okay,
There's stuff in here that nobody has.
So I can put the lights on in there because I didn't know we were doing this.
So,
It stalled for a minute because
Yeah.
I was locked and I didn't unlock it.
So here's Zenobia. This is the witch, who's the namesake witch of the dungeon. Let's see here. I just bought a bubble machine for her. Check this out. Thought I'd never, ever use a bubble machine for anything, but she has this cauldron. She's not on it now, but see, look, her cauldron is...
Yeah, that's awesome.
Thanks. I feel like, have you ever seen that movie Office Space?
Of course.
You know the guy who's like, yeah, did you see that mulch job down at the new Applebee's? That's how it's about. It's like, see that bubble machine in the dungeon? Yeah.
Yeah, I did that.
Okay,
Here we go.
so in this room,
Damn, son. Holy shit.
Oh, dude. Wait, here we go.
we have original makeups and movie props that were actually used in movies. Right up on top here, this is the only surviving ET that was used in the film. All the rest of them were made of a very porous foam latex, and they just didn't survive. This one was used in the long shots of the bike riding scene, and he was made of a heavier latex. Then we have an early version of the creature from the Black Lagoon. That was the early prototype. And below there, we have one of the only two original heads of Linda Blair as the Exorcist, which was created by Dick Smith. Next to her is another Dick Smith creation for Little Big Man. If you notice, it has similarities. If you ever watch Dark Shadows, it has similarities to old Barnabas in Dark Shadows. That's because Dick Smith did the makeup on Dark Shadows.
And there he is.
That's him there. And that's me with Dick up above there when he first gave me the Little Big Man head.
Right on.
And then up above here, we have the prototype for the Martian and Mars attacks. And that was done for the computer artists that did the animation on it. So they would have a three-dimensional color model to go by.
Right.
Down here, we have a jewel head of one of the mutations that lived underground and beneath the Planet of the Apes. And below that, we have a Roddy McDowell's makeup from the original Planet of the Apes, and that was done by John Chambers. And we have one of the golden idols from Raiders of the Lost Ark. This is one of four made for the picture. And the big deal about this that a lot of people don't realize, it was the fertility goddess. And you notice how she's grimacing? Well, she has a baby coming out below there. And they never show it that close in the film.
Wow. That's crazy.
Oh, you want to talk about, well, the star, it may not look like much. It's a little plexiglass Star Wars star, but that was actually given on when they had the opening, the very first screening of Star Wars. This was on the dinner table for each of the people that went to the screening at 20th Century Fox. And so that's pretty rare.
That's incredible.
And he gave that to you, right? Like,
yes, that's Mark Hamill. And then, well, we have a lot of other stuff here, as you can see. And
live cast of Vincent Price.
And animation cell, the Great Mouse Detective that Vincent gave me. And up on top, there's one that was given me by Chuck Jones of The Grinch with Cindy Lou Who. So there's lots of stuff to see here. And then probably one of our oldest props is this one here from This Island Earth, 1955. And that's the original Metaluna mutant that was used in that film. And the reason it lasted so long, it was made of galvanized rubber, not latex. So it's just amazing that it's in that good shape after all these years. So a lot of different things to see. This part isn't on the video that they're going to see. So they have to come and see it in person.
Yeah. Guys, I don't, if there wasn't enough incentive to see this shit, I've just given you all the incentive you need. All right, so there you have it, man. This is a great preview.
Yeah, dude, it's a really cool place he's got going on here.
Yeah.
There. And Steve has worked with me on a lot of this stuff, which is great because it's a lot to pull together, especially since we only had 3 to 4 weeks to move it from one location to another. And
yeah,
we worked hard on this, and people love it. And the great thing is that there isn't a lot to see now that you can actually see in person. Everything is virtual, which there's nothing wrong with that, but it's really nice to see original props that you've seen in movies and life-size figures that you can actually see within just a few feet of you.
Yeah, absolutely. We can't lose that.
So anyway, I'll turn it back to Steve now. I've talked enough.
No, man.
This stuff is supremely interesting and incredible, and everyone's enjoying the stuff. So, thank you.
Here's Cortland holding Linda Blair's head next to Linda Blair.
Right on. So awesome.
Yeah, here's Vincent Price wrote this for you, right? Like,
yes. because that was when I did the early version of the Dr. Fives headpiece that you saw the life-size figure of. And Vincent was a great friend for many, many years. And he just wrote priceless greetings to the Witch's Dungeon from Dr. Fives and Vincent Price.
Hell yeah.
Yeah, man. There's a little bit of a tour. We got a Yoda over here too.
Oh, that's a sick Yoda.
All right, we got one more thing. Look, you want to show them the camera?
Oh yes,
This is
crazy.
As I stand here with an iPad, like we take technology for granted. Look at this thing.
This is an original
Holy
1940
shit.
35 millimeter projector. Now, people these days, they only know of a little silver disc that you put into a machine, and all of a sudden you have a movie. It didn't work that way years ago. There was only 15 minutes of film on this reel, and there had two of these projectors up in the projection booth, and every 15 minutes they had to change the reel to the other projector, then rewind it so that they'd be ready for the next show. And this required an arc lamp setup, because those theaters were really big back then. They would house at least 1,500 to 2,000 people.
Holy shit.
Yeah. And so this was way up at the back of the theater. So that light had to be incredibly bright. So it's two carbon rods that come together and create a spark. And that was an incredibly bright light. And it's magnified by the mirror behind it, the curved mirror behind it. And this thing is built, it's built of wrought iron.
It had to be moved up here in 3 parts. I think each part weighs probably what?
Over 100 pounds.
Yeah, it's over 300 pounds.
It's really, it was quite a job to move it from one place to another.
But you could probably run over this thing with a tank and it would not.
It almost ran over my foot.
So when were they using this? Like, how long ago was this being used?
This was from the 1940s. Later, they developed what's called the Platter System, and they would splice the whole movie together on one great big platter. But they still, believe it or not, used some of these simplex projectors. That's how long they lasted. They were using them up until about 2008. Old projectors like this, and the film would go around from the platter to a spool up above, go down into the projector, and then come out the bottom and go into another platter. So when you were watching movies, up until about 2008, 2009, somewhere around there, you were actually watching real film in 35 millimeter.
Right. Damn. That's awesome.
So it wasn't as easy as just putting that little silver disc into a machine.
Yeah. So someone actually had to do some work.
Yes,
dude.
right.
This thing had to be in its own room. It got so hot, right?
Yeah, and as a matter
Man, imagine like the maintenance on that.
well, the early days even before the 40s, the 30s, up until the late 30s, film was on what they call nitrate. It was on nitrate film, which was highly flammable.
Flammable, right?
If there was a jam on the film and it stopped, the whole reel could go up in flames. And so the projectionists were also they had a background in firefighting that if they had to, so they could put the fire out before it went too far.
Before it killed 2,000 people.
Well, so that's why the projection booths were made of cinder blocks. So if they did have a problem, well, it might fry the poor projectionist, but it wouldn't go to the theater.
Wow. I wonder if they got hazard pay too, just showing a movie.
They should have for that. So you see, there's a lot of things to see here, and some unique aspects of filmmaking that people probably have never.
Right. Yeah, this is a great peek into it. That's awesome.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We're gonna head back in so I can plug up the iPad.
Right on.
So
go ahead.
Let's do it.
All right.
All right.
So, but yeah, so hopefully everybody enjoyed that.
Yeah, everyone seems to be having a good time. You have certainly, as always, we've set a new bar for this podcast and people having to follow you on future podcasts.
Oh man.
Goolsby has set the bar high on all future guests.
You better have a real life alien with you next time.
Yeah.
I'm just kidding.
I feel bad for Nathan on Friday. I got Nathan Wells coming in on Friday.
Oh,
So.
cool, man. Nah, dude, he'll
Yeah.
sing a beautiful song and everyone will forget about me.
Everyone's thanking you for the mini tour. They all loved it. So good job, Cortland.
Well, you'll see even more on the podcast or on the live stream.
Yeah, the show this weekend.
Yeah.
As I said, there's a whole other wing back here. We have the creature
Yeah.
from the Lagoon, the mummy,
Both mummies, both Karloff and Chaney, and
the mole people, the golem, you name it, man.
Right. Mike Tipping has just accepted the challenge. You know, if there's one person that could do a cool tour just like this, it is Mike Tipping with his freaking freak show stuff that he loves.
Yeah.
I'm sure that he's got some. Were you there with us when we went to his oddities place or whatever?
That's the night I got food poisoning.
Is it?
Yeah, do you remember that?
I do remember that. I just didn't know it was that night.
So we went to the oddities place, and then we went and had fish and chips down by the eye. And then I remember Mike Tipping being like, "Oh, you shouldn't have ate down there."
thanks.
And I was like,
I love it when people do that, like right directly after you did it.
Yeah.
Oh, you shouldn't have done that.
I just remember being like, but everything was so nice and clean in there. And he's just like, but anyway, like we hung out there. And this guy has all kinds of crazy stuff, man. The place that we were at, there was a, do you remember this? They had the skeleton of one of Pablo Escobar's killer.
Yeah, the fucking the hippopotamus, right?
It's skull dipped in gold.
Oh,
Yeah.
Really?
That's just
They
one.
fuck- Yeah.
So we all sat and had drinks over top of a skeleton in a glass coffin, and
That's right. We were drinking over a dead guy.
And then there was a taxidermied tiger right behind us. It was bizarre. But then I got food poisoning and really thought I was going to die for the next days.
Well, it made it memorable.
But you know what? I will say this. I don't want to entirely blame the fish and chips, because when we were on the plane, I didn't eat. And then I looked in my bag, and it was right after Christmas, if you recall. Someone had given me a Pepperidge Farms summer sausage, and I remember I ate half the entire thing by myself that night. Because it was like 3 a.m, man, and we're in the UK, and there was no currency conversion happening yet. And I was like, oh man, I'm gonna have to eat this sausage. And
Damn.
I paid for it.
Yeah, we sure did. Fucking so yeah, well at least I got one guest that is gonna try to step up his game now since you've given us this tour. Everyone's gonna have to come up with something really cool from now on. Right on, man. What's the future now? So all the tours have been postponed. Have you already started rescheduling, at least for for the next time we'll get postponed, or what? Like,
Yeah, we have a time frame now. We're just not putting out dates yet for obvious reasons. But if everything does work out the way that it's planned, it's going to be almost a year to the date that the tour was supposed to begin in 2020. So April, like first week of April into the first week of May. And we actually going to go a little bit longer this time, because we did add more territories that weren't on the original tour. We're going to the Pacific Northwest now and down to Florida. A lot of people are like really like, cheesed off at us because of that, but it wasn't like we said we don't want to go there. It was an issue of, you know how it is, man. It's an issue of logistics.
Yeah.
And I always try to explain that to people. It's like we're not going because we don't want to go.
Yeah. It's always taken like really personally. Like, why do you hate Seattle? Like, no, dude, we don't hate Seattle. You're just really out there in the corner. That if we don't have a show connecting in and out of there, then we're losing money. Like we're playing for less than free.
It's like if somebody in Idaho isn't awake the next day, then like we're not getting out of Seattle.
Right. So, I mean, I don't want to get too much into business aspects of it, but I'm curious about the state of the music industry as a whole.
Yeah, me too.
Did you have a lot of problems getting? Are we on reduced pay now because we're gonna have reduced attendance in the venues. What was that like? How are those negotiations going between agent and venue and talent buyers?
Everything's changed for the the music booking agency. You know what I mean? Like this is an unprecedented event. This isn't anything that the music industry has had to face, at least in the modern form. The last time we had anything like this was 100 years ago with the Spanish flu.
Yeah.
And it wasn't the music industry yet in 1921,
right.
1920. So everyone's having to adapt, including the people that we work with at our agency. But we're fortunate to work with an agency that is long-standing. They've been doing it for a very long time. They represent some really good clients. Our booking agent books for DMX, man. You know what I mean? And
right.
like Mary J. Blige. So like every day I wake up, I'm like, I hope they don't realize today's going to be the day they realize that we are neither of those artists.
Right.
They're working with us. So they've got it figured out, man. They definitely have a plan. I don't think anyone had there wasn't like a pandemic plan. You always see that in the clauses, like
right.
act of God, but it really happened.
Yeah.
But to answer your question, I don't think it's affected us really. You know what I mean? Again, I guess we'll find out when we go out in
right.
May. But everyone was just excited to see us back again. All the promoters, because a lot of the promoters we've already worked with and we have relationships with from 10 years ago. So
right.
they're happy to see us. We're not. This hasn't been anything with Blitzkid where we're like, all right, guys, we're back and we're punched in and we're just doing stuff. Like we're gonna do this tour. Just like we're doing this stream. If we decide to do more, we will. But there's no real plan. You know what I mean? So.
Right.
We'll see what happens, man.
What's going on with the Roving Midnight stuff? Are you? I know you've already said that you have music written.
Yeah.
Are these demoed out? Like, is it actually written or what?
Yeah, it's written. Yeah. It's produced at this point, man. You know how it is. Normally you demo something out and then you have a little bit of pre-production, then you go to the studio. I've pre-produced these to the point that they're just produced. All I need to do is go to the studio. It'll be the fastest recording session ever, man.
Are you sure? Because last time it took a year.
Well, we were touring too.
Right. you also just made that face. You're like, well, who knows?
Yeah. it is me, man. Like, if there's something that needs some attention, like I might spend a whole week on something. Like, we'll see what happens. But
yeah.
Why am I not surprised? I know what a perfectionist he is, and I'm the same as him, so I can understand.
Oh yeah, man. Look, he's been in.
The last album you had like 85 tracks on each song.
Yeah, we got a little crazy. And then I took like 62 of them out after I spent like 25 hours recording 85 of them. So
damn.
Nah.
Hey, that's how it works sometimes, It
is, man. I mean, so with that album, if you remember, I was doing a lot of touring in 2016.
Yeah.
And on into 2000.
Holy shit, it was that long ago?
Yeah, dude. Well, we started recording in 2017, January. But what happened was I kind of fell out of the studio loop. So we ended up going on tour. And when I came back, I was like trying to go back to the studio. And then Sean was like, dude, I've got people in here for the next 4 months. So I was like, damn it. Like Francis. So
Francis.
So I had to wait, man. I had to get back in line, and then I got impatient and just decided to tour some more, which made me even further out of the scheduling loop.
Right.
Finally got back in, but yeah. So that's the plan, and there will be some touring. We've talked about that.
Right.
There's definitely that's going to happen. I mean, if this was
that is going to happen. By the way, I've gotten the green light.
Oh, it is.
Yeah.
So you heard it here first, people.
It got pushed back. I'm not sure if I told you that it got pushed back to September, the fall, or whatever. But
yeah, so we will be out probably with the new album next fall, the Roving Midnight on tour. We might even go to Seattle and Florida. Yeah,
right.
I'm just kidding.
What's the mood of this like the new stuff? Because I mean, last time we kept it kind of up tempo for the most part.
Very melodic, but it's very heavy. I'd say 8 of the 13 songs are in drop D.
Damn, son.
So It's entirely different speed than Darken Your Doorstep. It's very heavy, very heavy, but it's also just as melodic. I doubled down on melody as much as I doubled down on tone. So it's a very moody melodic album.
That's perfect because we're in a very moody time.
It is, man. It is. So,
well, like we've talked about, that it's kind of ironic that you chose to do Nosferatu because of the plague.
Oh, that was crazy. It's like life imitating art. Man, when it was in the studio, whenever it came, and I've told this story, I believe, before, so forgive me if you've heard this before, but when we were rounding that point where everything just shit hit the fan and everyone had to go home and shelter in place, we were in the very home stretch of that movie. Like, we were in the last 10 minutes of it.
Damn, really?
Yeah, so we were at the scene where, spoiler alert, everybody, like Nosferatu ends up in, Visborg, or the city, and in the form of the plague. Everyone thinks that it's the plague. It's the vampire. He's killing everyone, but everyone thinks it's the plague. And true to being in the studio, as we were saying earlier, you can spend an entire 9 hours working on 10 seconds of music. And not only are we looking at listening to music, but we're looking at a screen as well. So there is a picture to accompany that music for that entire day. And we were on a title card that said, "The plague is here. Stay in your house."
Oh my goodness.
Isn't that ironic?
And this is crazy. 100 years to the day, or to the, obviously to the year, almost to the month of the Spanish flu. And that was what inspired Nosferatu. The screenwriter, Henrik Galeen, decided to go with this instead of Bela Lugosi, because those dudes just came out of the Spanish flu. They witnessed all the death. They saw a plague, so they wanted something that was more representative of that carnage.
Right.
So, ironically enough, I'm working on a movie that was inspired by the Spanish flu, which was 100 years to the day of coronavirus, and I'm watching something about the plague on the screen when I had to go home.
Right. That's
And a lot of that was blamed upon the rats. And there's, of course, rats that are all around Nosferatu. And if you notice the teeth that he has, they don't look like your common vampire teeth. They're more rat-like.
Yeah, incisors.
Yeah.
But yeah, man. So that's kind of how that whole thing happened. But we got it done. So
that's crazy to think about.
Really,
as you're finishing up, putting the finishing touches, or at least the last 10 seconds of the movie, that's popping up and you're seeing that all day, and then we have like impending lockdown coming up because of fucking plague.
And and that was the scariest moment of this, was because that was when it was just a media frenzy, and it's everywhere you looked was like, this many people are dying, and where we're at. Well, I mean, you're down in Tennessee now, but New Jersey, where I'm at in Connecticut, I literally live 32 miles from New York City. You know what I mean? So, like, that whole area was the epicenter for this entire thing at that time. So everywhere we looked was just mounting carnage. And I remember looking at Sean, our engineer, and I was like, did we do this? Like,
right.
Did we cause this? Like, we've been like just some like sheeny, this sheeny little thing coming in, man, and we created the Nosferatu plague again.
You opened a wormhole.
Yeah.
I mean,
so crazy.
Think about it. How unprecedented is it that Broadway is closed down? That's never happened, you know?
Yeah, the whole thing. You know, I was out on that acoustic tour as everything was unfolding. Europe started to shut down its borders, and the stay-at-home order was being executed over in Europe, and we're on this fucking acoustic tour. And I'm like, bro, I don't like this. Our days are numbered right here. Let's just try to go as far as we can, make as much money as we can, and do it. And it was weird as we were traveling south into the country, like each state that we had just been in started closing. It was like following us. It was following all the shutdowns, and then finally caught up, and we're like, all right, yeah, we got it. We have the responsible thing to do is we need to stop right now. So.
Yeah, we did too, man. I was in the studio when that happened, and like we literally had spoken to our booking agent, and they were like, "We got to pull the plug on this."
But I was telling Michael, bro, like, I'll buy that it's real. That everything's going to be shut down like that when sports leagues shut down, because those are billion-dollar revenue machines. If they shut down sports, then we're fucked. And sure enough,
The next day,
like fucking basketball starts getting shut down. Everything, hockey season's over. I'm like, all right, no, we got to go home. You know?
Yeah, I feel you, man. That's the thing.
Yeah.
Like, I just remember looking at Sean, like, you know, that the face that people make in the movie when they cut the wrong wire, and they're just like, they look at each other. I was like, I gotta go, man. Like, like I better go to Wawa as fast as I can and get home.
And stock up on that toilet paper too.
Oh my god, yeah.
That night,
I
man.
couldn't believe it. What the hell was that about?
I'm like, has the world not heard of dude? You can get 150 napkins for $1. It's the same fucking thing, man. Like,
Or grab a bunch of them at Dunkin' Donuts.
Yeah. God damn, it just doesn't make sense. Or just jump in the shower real quick. Like, what? It doesn't matter. What's wrong with you people?
it's like it's crazy, man. It's where we are. We've gone through all of the great phases of civilization. Now we're just to the point of like, all right,
We're almost there, bro. Idiocracy is upon us.
Welcome to Costco. I love you. You remember that scene?
Yeah.
He's like, I object. I object.
I object.
I interrupted. Ouch, my balls. That is such an underrated movie, man.
It is.
How did that movie come out and no one knew about it? Like, it came out in 2005. And
Yep.
it's so fucking good. There's another one called Let's Go to Prison. Have you ever seen that?
Yep, I've seen it.
Yeah, with Dak Shepard. Holy God, man. And Will Arnett, whatever his name is.
Yeah.
It's such a good movie. Let's Go to Prison. Idiocracy.
Idiocracy, right.
Idiocracy. Why come you don't have tattoo? Why come you don't have tattoo? Sorry, we're just quoting this.
We're getting there, man. It's slowly becoming that. I think social media is a big part of it. You know?
It is.
Fucking A. Man, I don't know what to do from here because we've spent so much time on the current thing. I'm thinking of maybe I bring you back and we go back in the past. I do want to do something because Mama Sin religiously watches these shows, and I want to go. I want to go to the way back and just mention Jason a little bit and how we all started to get together. You know what I mean? So, if in your earliest memory, what can you remember of like starting Blitzkid and forming a horror punk band or whatever the fuck you really want to call it in those days, and finding us in Mr. Monster? Just kind of go back in time and tell me about that.
You know, it's funny. I was actually I think about Jason all the time, and I was thinking about what you were just talking about today on my way up here. I was listening to Tiger Army, The Power of Moonlight, and I haven't listened to that album in probably like 9.5 years, man. I'll be straight up. And it popped up on Spotify, and that was 2001 when that came out. And it just took me back, and I wasn't expecting it. And that was the year that I met Jason, I met Joe, Mr. Monster. And that was probably just months before, because that was the summer of 2001. Then that album came out just before 9/11, and then 9/11 happened, and it put that whole year in perspective. But going back, I met Jason in the summer of 2001 at Ghouls Night Out down in Spartansburg or Greenville, South Carolina. I can't remember where it was, but it was a fluke that we even got on that show, much less met, because the whole roster was booked up. And someone had told us that there was a show happening down in South Carolina that was horror rock bands. I don't think that's the term they use. They were just bands like you guys, because as you said, it really wasn't the second wave of the thing yet, or if you can call it that. So, we just did everything we could to get on that show. And
I mean, and I remember back in the day, we weren't calling ourselves that. Jason was calling himself Boo-Wop. You know what I mean? Like,
yeah, we called ourselves Ghoul Rock. We didn't know. Like we had jackets that said Ghoulie High on the back of it. Like we went to Ghoulie High. We were trying to figure it out too. I mean, we obviously, it's not like were the first ones to do it. We had stuff to look at, but we were also trying to do our own thing. But we were on like an island in West Virginia. So when a band dropped off of Ghouls Night Out at the last minute, and they were like, "You guys can come down here."
This is not the same one that I was there with.
No,
Michael.
no, I didn't meet you at this one yet.
Right.
This was Germ's very first show with the band. On bass.
Wow.
And JV had moved over to guitar, I guess.
Gotcha.
And what had happened was we barely made it, man. I think maybe a week before the show, they're like, "Come on down. You got like 20 minutes. Just you're playing for exposure." And we were like, "That's fine." And we just want to play. So we went down there. And I just want to digress for a minute. People ask me like all the time, like, "Oh, well, how'd you guys do it?" Dude, we played anywhere we could, all the time, anywhere. And that, I don't know if you can do that anymore. Like, obviously you can't right now, but
right, yeah.
Even 5 years ago, I don't think it made as much of a difference. But we were doing it at a time when that really made a difference. And we get to South Carolina and we roll in, and that's when we met the guys in Mr. Monster. I mean, we met a lot of other bands there that day too. Psychocharger. A lot of the bands aren't around anymore though. But Mr. Monster. And I remember seeing Jason, and I was just kind of taken aback, man, because he was like the Fonzie, you know what I mean? Of like,
right.
We were all walking around in cardigans, you know what I mean? Like with our bowl cuts. And Jason was over there like elbow in the jukebox, combing his hair. And I was like, whoa, that dude looks awesome. And Mr. Monster was the first band that made me realize that not only are there other bands doing what we're doing on this crazy island of Virginia, but they're like they're contemporaries. It's not like, oh, this is the Misfits and like this isn't on the same thing that we're doing. This was the same like level. So that's that was my immediate feeling seeing those guys, was like a camaraderie. And then I saw them play and fell in love, right there. I mean, there's footage of us like standing in front of the stage. There's like 4 people up there, and we're just like this the whole time, freaking out. We came home from that whole experience, changing numbers. Everybody hung out that night, changing phone numbers and home phone numbers, obviously, because it's 2001. And I think our next, our fully integration into, I want to say like maybe that, what I call the era of Blitzkid, Mr. Monster, that kind of unity that we kind of forged together and became like this symbiotic unit. We put Exhuming Graves, Making Dates out, all that stuff, was when we went up to New Jersey. They invited us up. Jason knew someone at WFMU, the Pat show. And, they've been doing live bands since the 80s, man, punk rock bands. So we got invited up to play that. And then a couple of other shows got booked around that. Like we played Club Lux in Brooklyn with Psychocharger.
Damn.
So again, this is where the pieces started getting put together. We're like, hey, we saw you guys. They put on a show for us in Brooklyn. So that's when all the connections and all the networking began. And that's when we really became friends, man. We stayed at the West House. You know what I mean?
Yep.
Is that what it was? What was that the name of it?
Yeah, the West House. Yeah.
Yeah, the West House boys. Yeah, the WHB.
Yep.
We were there, and dude, we rented a car. We came up. We stayed there. I never forget us going across the street to this gas station, this A&P or A&P. I can't remember which it was, but we had no money, and all the guys at the house, like Eddie Monahan and JB, were like, no, don't worry about it. And we go in the A&P and we pick up these baskets, and JB's like, get whatever you want. And I'm like, all right. And I'm thinking he's just being a very nice host and he's going to buy our groceries. And then we get to the checkout, and I guess dude knew the guy, and they just let us go out. So I was like, New Jersey's awesome. We got free groceries, all that stuff. But I do want to just jump back to Jason, because that's the whole point. I don't think Jason liked me very much when he first met me, but that's my fault. And I've told this story before.
Why is this?
Oh man, I don't want to. It's embarrassing enough to say it in front of Mama Sin on stage, and I got to say it. She's going to hear me say it again. So, Portland, earmuffs.
Okay.
Just kidding. So, the first thing I said to Jason, we had heard a couple of songs. He had a song called Gore Horror. Yeah, Mr. Monster.
Right.
And there's a line in there where it says, she likes to bat fuck. And I walked up to him in all of my corn-fed West Virginian accent. I was like, "Hey man, you know that song "Go Hard" you guys got on that album, man?" He's just looking at me like, "Who is this guy?" The only other person who's ever looked at me like that was Slash at the water park when I embarrassed myself in front of him.
Taking a mental note. Continue on with this story because I'm gonna ask you about Slash later.
And then he looks at me. I go, "Hey man, that song. Do you say B-U something something F-U-C-K?" And he goes, "I guess I gotta get close to the camera." He's got a cigarette, smoking inside, not supposed to. He goes, "Bat fuck." And then he walks away. Dude,
Tracy told me this story. You do a good Jason, but Tracy nails, like, he nails the Jason impression.
Oh,
holy shit.
I felt like the kid in that McDonald's commercial where everyone's ice skating and then everyone leaves them alone. Everyone just like went away from me after that. They're like, "Oh, good job, Goose." Like, I was like, "Yeah, that's it." And I thought that was it, man. And you know, I guess he saw us play. We played, and we literally just tore the place up, man. In the 15 minutes that we had, and I think we turned some heads, and all the guys in the band were like, "You guys aren't completely stupid after all." And I was like, "I'm sorry, man. I'm really bad. I'm like the guy. I like turtles. Like I'm that kid." Yeah. I was watching the interview. I was watching all the footage for the Nosferatu DVD. As I said, we have that behind the scenes thing about all the filming and the transfer and the process. We have Tom Savini on there. Cortland interviewed Tom Savini talking about Nosferatu, but I'm interviewing him. You know, that I'm being interviewed, and like I just keep saying Nosferatu so many times. All I could think of is that kid. Like, I really like Nosferatu. Nosferatu is the best movie ever. When I watch Nosferatu, I like to think about Nosferatu. Like, it's everyone else's interviews are so great. Cortland's like, you know, just so seamless on camera, and I'm just like Sidney Brady in front of the red light.
That's hilarious. So now I need to go back to why did you embarrass yourself in front of Slash?
Oh God. Dude, it was so embarrassing. It was.
What the hell did you do?
Look, you can't tell because the lights. My face is red. So we were on tour in Blitzkid with Face to Face. Like the biggest tour we ever did. It was Face to Face and Strung Out. We were the opening band, and we were having a blast, man. So it was a 7-week tour. And this was probably the 6th week, and it was the first day off we had in 6 weeks. The first day off, man. Like, we played a show every day, every night, unless we were traveling. You know what I mean? And there was no time off. If we were traveling, it was like we were driving 24 hours to get to the show because they're in a tour bus, and they can take the time. They can leave that night. We got to drive. We're in a little van. So we're in California. We're in Southern California. What a great place to have a day off, man. I look at it and I go, guys, Raging Waters, where they filmed Bill and Ted's Excellent Adventure, is literally right over there. Who wants to go? Everyone's like, I don't want to go. I don't want to go. I'm like, you guys are crazy. I'm going to Raging Waters. So Jordy was with me. She was out running merch for us on that tour. And I look at Jordy. I'm like, you want to go to Raging Waters? And she's like, yeah, let's go. So I think we dropped those guys off at Barnes & Noble. They were like, we're just going to go in Barnes & Noble for the next 8 hours or however long you guys are going to be gone. And we hike it over to Raging Waters. They have a satellite parking lot at the bottom. And they put you in these little trolleys that take you up the mountain like Jurassic Park. And it's all monumental when you cross the hill and you see the water park. It's like breathtaking, man. You're like, wow, what Raging Waters. And then you realize how crowded it is because all the trolleys drop every single dude, mofo that's going to that place off in that secondary lot. And they're everywhere, dude. It's like Grand Central Station. So they drop us off amidst hundreds of people. And they're filtering us into groups. And I'm not paying attention to like any of this. I'm just kind of wandering around and looking. And then I feel a tug on my shoulder right here on my shirt. And I look at my wife and she goes, that's Slash. I'm like, huh? She goes, that's Slash. I see her finger. And I look, and bro, he's like 7 feet away from me. And like, he looks like it's Slash. It's the ring, the glasses, the nose ring. The only thing was different, no top hat, and he was in swimming trunks. But he was
Right.
shirtless, he was barefoot, dude. I was like standing there all oiled up, like I'm Slash. I got my suntan lotion on. I'm ready to go to the water park. And I don't know what happened to me, man. I guess it was the 9-year-old in me that got Appetite for Destruction, and
Right.
you know, like that was a life-changing album, man. I wasn't ready for it, man.
I wasn't ready.
You know when you watch a movie and you see the background behind the characters zoom in like this?
Right.
That's what happened. But I guess, was moving that close to him. Like I somehow just found myself like doing this, and like I was right up on him. And,
Like when Garth sees his dream girl.
yeah. So I'm Slash. Check me out. I'm just imagine I'm really cool when I'm Slash. And look, my hand's me. I'm just like. And
Just got right up to him.
I'm like, oh, I gotta say something now, and then he looks at me like this. I'm this close to him, and I go like this. I go like this. I go, are you Slash?
What did he respond with?
This is what he responded with. This is why I said he's just like Jason. This is exactly where it was like a flashback. This is what he did. He had sunglasses on. He granted me a sunglass dip. He goes like this. He goes. And turned around and walked away.
No.
And I could feel my world just falling apart. All I wanted to do was go on the fucking water slides, man, and Slash ruined my day, but I ruined it for me. It's not his fault.
Right.
I was like, oh, man, now what am I going to do? So I'm like, I got to fix this.
Oh, no. Did you try to redeem it?
Oh.
Was it worse than the original?
Oh, stay tuned for the next stop of this ride. So I'm like, I'm in a band. I know exactly what I just did. I got to fix this. Hey, we know some of the same people. So I'm like, I got this. So
hold on. What year is this again?
2010.
Okay.
So he starts to walk away. And I'm like, okay, but he's very far away now. I follow him. He goes through a gate. And I go through the gate, and I go, hey, Slash, listen. And that's all I said. And I hear someone go, hey, where's your pass? Uh-oh. And I'm like, what? I've never been to this place before. I don't know where I'm standing. I'm in the season pass line. That's why he was like, I'm getting out of here for this dummy tries to talk to me again. And he went through the gate, and then I followed him, thinking I could just go in. So when the person yells, where's your pass? He turns around thinking they're talking to him, like, and then he sees me and he's like, this guy. And I look at the guy, I'm like, hey, I'm trying to, I said something stupid, Slash.
Oh,
Talk to him. Just, I know a guy, he knows a guy, we know a guy, we're friends, we could be buddies. Just, and I'm trying to get it out. And the guy's like, get out of here, get out of here. He's like totally, and I don't know what to do. So I'm defeated. I just turn around and walk away. And as I walk away, everyone's just standing there looking at me like out in the like, good job, buddy. Now none of us get to talk to him, right?
Right.
That's what you think. But then I see him walking around just cajoling, taking pictures with everybody all day.
Oh my God.
And at one point, we were between the giant water slide that Napoleon's going down in Bill and Ted's and this other one, and there's a long corridor. And he starts walking down towards me. And I see him, and I'm like, it's too late. I got to pass him. There's nobody else. I'm like, do I say something else again? I didn't. I Blair Witched, man.
Did you fucking put your head down? Yeah.
I found the closest corner I could and just was like, stare at the corner until he goes by. Then, yeah, Cortland's like,
is that like the most you've ever embarrassed yourself in front of anyone? Is that it? Yeah.
Yes, definitely. Dude, I spent the next 3 days trying to like track someone down to tell him that I wasn't crazy, like on the internet, because that would have proven my point.
At that point, you were already playing with Doyle, or no?
No, I had been. I was out.
Oh, so you already were part of that.
Yeah.
Right. Damn.
Yeah.
I don't know if people know about your run-ins with Danzig. If you are allowed to say anything about Glenn Danzig, what is your experience with Glenn?
Up and down. It was always predominantly cool. I did 2 tours with him,
right.
with Doyle. I did a tour in 2008. Then no, I'm sorry, 2006, I believe it was. Then 2008. I was on that tour when Danzig broke his arm. The first night of the tour, and that was the Gorgeous Frankenstein's first tour. I gotta say, man, he was always cool. You know what I mean? Like there were times where I've told you these stories where like I kind of walked into the hornet's nest.
Yeah.
So, for example, he was very nice. He always was very complimentary to me, man. Like I remember he filmed that Gorgeous Frankenstein video. If you watch it, Manor Monster and then the Gorgeous Frankenstein, he was filming that. I'll never forget being in the bathroom in Los Angeles at SIR Studios. All right, and I was at the urinal, you know, relieving myself, and then Glenn Danzig walks in and just walks in right next to me. Zip, starts taking a whiz. And I'm like, I'm peeing next to Danzig. All right. I'm like, what up? Hey, Danzig, I hear this is where all the dicks hang out. Like, what are you going to say to him? You know, like, I don't know what to say. But this is what he said to me. He goes, Goolsby, so nice. He's like, Goolsby. He's just like, I really like your style, man. He goes, Doyle needs a guy like you to bounce off of on stage, man. So, like, good work up there today. And I was like, that's great, man.
That's awesome. Right.
That's like, you know, that's the big approval. So we were on tour, and this is after he hurt his arm, though. So he was, I think, feeling kind of grumpy. But we were in Denver, and I remember walking off stage, and he was talking to Doyle about something, and he was in the middle of a karate kick. Literally, it was like when I walked by, like. And I go like this. I go, whoa. And he goes, ha, ha, ha. And Doyle's like, ha, ha, ha. That's and I start laughing. I'm like, huh. I'm like, well, if you really want to get, I'm trying to walk by him. I'm like, if you really want to kick me in the face, go for it. And he goes, what'd you say?
What'd you say? You got the jersey out of him.
He's all like a crab. Wouldn't let me by. He's like a crab. And he got kind of weird after that, but you know,
got the jersey out of him.
He gave us like free merch.
Right.
I just remember Doyle. I remember a couple of days later, I was like, he's like, you made him mad. I was like, was he kidding? He goes, you made him mad. I was like, what'd I do? And he goes, my name's Paul. That's between y'all. I don't know.
Damn.
But no, dude, like he was cool, man. Those were two really fun tours.
Yeah.
So I got nothing but good things to say about those experiences.
Describe your first experience of like, so I think I remember you saying this where you're like rehearsing with Doyle or doing something, and he walks in and he's saying something, but you guys are playing, and you just totally maybe possibly misreading the situation because he looks mad.
No, I'm pretty sure he was mad.
Right on.
So this was right before the tour at SIR. So, you know, we did the video and we were rehearsing there every day for the week prior to the tour. And the way that it worked was Danzig had rented out the room that we were in, and then the band would play. So it was Todd Youth, it was Steve Zing, and it was a guy named Carl Rockfist playing drums. Okay. So they would run the set one time. Gorgeous Frankenstein would go up, and then we would do our set, and then Danzig would come in after us, and then they would do the Danzig set again with Glenn singing. So I got to see them rehearse every day for a week, man. It was insane. I was sitting on a couch, and this was when they were doing the whole, you know, Misfits encore set. I watched them do Astro Zombies, you name it, man. Everything that they're doing now, I saw them do it. Like stuff they didn't even do. Like, let's do Queen. You remember Queen Wasp? Let's do Queen Wasp. I'm like, holy shit, man. Spook City, USA. I'm like, oh my God, dude. He's like doing alternate verses to like, you know, Astro Zombies. And I'm just sitting on a couch like this, man, like watching the whole thing. So that was the routine. What had happened was that very last week, before tour began, Doyle sent the singer of the band, a guy by the name of Landon, home. He fired him a week before the tour started.
Right.
And I remember me naively sitting in this white pickup truck going to get gas with him, tumbling down this mountain. And
you said like, a week before the tour starts?
A week before the tour started, he sent him home.
He sends his singer home. Okay.
It's a long story, man. Yeah, that guy, Landon, he's not with us anymore.
Right.
Rest his soul. or whatever, universe. He was. I really liked that dude, man. He was in a bad situation. Like, he wasn't the guy for that band, and he was a good singer. I heard his other band. He was a good singer, but something didn't click.
He just wasn't the guy.
Yeah, dude. When you hear that gorgeous Frankenstein record, it's just like, whoa, man. Like, what happened here? Like, it's kind of like, is this a joke? And I hate to say that, and I feel bad because, as I said, the dude had what it took. I wasn't there for that though. Anyway, he sent him home, and this was the first practice that we had. I remember Doyle telling me, I'm like, well, who's going to sing? And this is what he does. I'll never forget. He's driving. He goes,
I feel like maybe it's because you're doing it, but like the Doyle faces and the Chud faces are very similar. They both do the same shit.
So I was like, me? He's like, yeah. I was like, dude, like, this isn't like Ramones where you're like, generating steam heat.
So you're supposed to be playing and singing?
Yeah, so these are bass lines like and I'm trying to sing something that's not doing
Yeah.
So I was like, oh my God, man, all right. So I rose to the challenge, and he was like, well, I was like, what's Glenn gonna say? And he's just like, I don't know. So I'm like, oh my God, man, we get to rehearsal, and I was hoping we were almost done, man. We were almost done with our set because Glenn was coming in to rehearse with Danzig, the band. And Glenn walks in and he had 2 big old bags of Mediterranean food. He's like smiling, and he's like, hey. And he looks over and he sees like Chicken, Doyle's daughter, and he's all like, do chicken, hey. And he goes like this. And he sees me, he goes, and he drops the bags, dude. It's like a movie. He's like, he walks up to the stage, and we're in the middle of playing a song, like the longest damn song we have, Reverse of God. I was like, oh my God, we just started this thing too. He walks up, he's like, where's Landon? Where's Landon? Hey. And he looks at Doyle, he's like, Doyle. But all I hear is, and this is what Doyle does.
Just his mouth moving.
This is what he does. He's got his guitar, he goes like this, he goes.
That's a classic Doyle move. Just
I'm the only guy on the microphone. Yeah, I'm the only guy on the microphone. Everybody else is like, got his head down. Landon's got a mask on, or like had a mask on, so like he's not even there. But I'm just sitting here on the microphone, like he's going, "Oh my God, man, could this song be over?" Like, and he's like right there, and he's like this close to me, man.
He's right in front of your face.
Yeah. So he's, and I'm not saying it's not. I was on the stage, so he's looking up.
So yeah, right.
It's like even more intense. And I'm like, oh God, dude. So he finally stops yelling because he realizes they're not going to stop. So he just goes like this. And he puts his arm and he just stares. And he's just like this. And then finally the song ends. He's like, where's Landon? What happened? And I remember Doyle just goes, I had to send him home. He's like, you sent him home? Why? He goes, I had to send him home. I had to. I can't do it. I had to send him home. And then he looks at me and he goes, so you got Goolsby singing? He's like, yeah. He looks at me. He goes, can you sing? And I'm like, Glenn Danzig asked me if I can sing. What are you supposed to do? Well, I'm the songbird of my generation, Mr. Danzig. I was like, yeah. I'm like, I'm going to say yes.
Yeah, I'm all right.
He goes like, he's like, man or monster, go. And then we started playing the song. And this is, I guess, how I made the cuts. Because when the song's done, he's like, all right. Well, let's do our thing. Let's all get ready to play. So I guess.
Damn.
But and he'd already been really nice to me about like the bathroom thing. Like,
right.
When we were taking a whiz, he's like, oh,
he was just taken aback.
But that was like me. I think he wanted me running around and being like active, and that's what he liked.
Right.
Was, I could run over and do stuff on Joel's side of the stage, which is why he ended up with the Backstreet Boys mic. That was all their suggestion. They were like, you got to get a headset mic so you're not on the microphone.
That is right. I completely forgot that you did that.
Are you still awake? I'm sorry. No.
Yeah, sorry. Yeah, if I'm keeping you.
He's just gradually gonna be like this.
Yeah.
No.
We'll end it on something right around this time period, and I'll just have you back on because I do want to talk to you about nostalgic stuff too. So we'll fucking you know, like the beginnings of Blitzkid and us meeting and then what we've done since then. Like there's a, you know, we've known each other for a long time now, so there's a bunch of shit that we've done and will do. So we'll do just a whole nother podcast at some other time.
So I'll have to up my own ante, and so next time we'll come back and do it here when it's the Monsters holiday.
Oh, that would be great. Yeah.
And then you can see
Exactly.
Christmas time.
Boom.
Christmas.
How Transylvania celebrates the holiday.
The Loki Christmas special.
Every time I would get over there with Goolsby, be like, you know, he'd start getting the itch, like, yo, we are this. If we just drive over here, like 50 miles this way, we're gonna be right by fucking the. You know, we'll be right there at Dracula's castle. Like, what are we gonna do? Like, you just know when we're close. He's hit the excitement level starts ramping up in Europe.
Well, it's like this. I'd be in the back of the band, and like I just know. I'd be like, we're near the Dracula's castle,
right?
They're like, damn it. Like, bing.
Either that or maybe Claude's Rain's grave is here or something.
Yeah. That's up in Vermont. I've been meaning to go.
See? He knows where
I know where it is. I haven't gone yet, though.
All right. Can I share a almost embarrassing moment?
Yeah, of course.
Okay, all right. Well, I as you know, I collect film, but he doesn't know that I have a large collection of real film. And this was back around somewhere in the early 80s, just one of the last things that Cary Grant did. And back then, of course, you didn't have video. So they wanted some clips to be shown of Cary Grant films. And I had North by Northwest and Arsenic No Lace and several others. Anyway, so they asked me if I would come because the prints that they ordered never arrived. And Cary Grant was going to be there the next day. So they wanted me to do a little presentation of highlights of some of his films before he came on stage. And I said, well, fine. And they said, how much is this going to cost? I said, as long as I get a chance to talk to Cary Grant, I don't care. And so they arranged it. Cary Grant comes in and says, hey, you, Colton, how are you? And I like, in my little screwy brain, I'm thinking, he sounds just like Cary Grant. I mean, thank God I didn't say that.
Yeah.
But in my brain, I'm thinking, I mean, I've heard that voice all my life, and all of a sudden he walks and he's doing it. And the other silly thing was that he was nice about it, but I had the North by Northwest poster that I asked him if he would sign. Yeah. Well, why do you want me to sign your silly poster when we could just have a nice little chat? And it's like, okay.
Yeah, because you're Cary Grant, right?
You can do whatever you want, but I mean, so it wasn't that embarrassing, but it could have been if I said what I was saying in my head. You know,
it happens, man. That filter goes away sometimes. You're not looking for it. You're just on the other end of something stupid that you just said.
Well, because I mean, this is Cary Grant after all. I've grown up watching his movies, and he's right in front of me, and the voice. You know.
We'll have to have Cortland back on because, dude, he's got so many stories. Like, we'll sit and talk. Like, we'll be working, and he'll be like, well, this time I was at the Oscars with Jew Frey, and I was sitting across from, who was it you said across from?
Daniel Day-Lewis.
Daniel Day-Lewis.
Oh, and then on my left was the comedian Red Button, and he told me jokes all night long.
That's amazing.
That's awesome.
Yeah, dude, he's like the Forrest Gump of like the film. He's just there, man. It's like he'll be like, oh, yeah. Well, I was talking to such and such and so, and I'm like, that's amazing. So, like, I don't even know. Like,
a lot of it was just by chance that some of these things happen. You know.
So yeah, we'll set it up for when you guys are doing that other event.
Is anybody still here?
Oh yeah, they're all here, man. They're all watching. I am actually shocked. I've been doing this this is the 32nd episode.
Yeah.
So that's like over 2 months now that I've been going, and like surprisingly, people watch the whole fucking thing. I have a nice little built-in audience. It's awesome, and they're all in the chat. So yeah, it's all good.
All right. Well, I just want to tell everybody thanks for listening to all my crazy stories, and I gotta let Cortland talk more next time because like I got too many like embarrassing stories. You got
No.
Right.
He's actually got interesting things to say.
Once in a while. But
Once in a while.
I would like to say, because it's a project we've both worked on, if anybody would like the Phantom of the Opera documentary, which is called Unmasking the Masterpiece,
He has some more.
they just have to go to our website, which is www.preservehollywood.org. And if they go there, they can also get all the information about the Witch's Dungeon and how to get here, too.
And we're also
Awesome.
sometime soon going to have some stuff on the Corpse with No. Is it? Can I mention that?
Yeah, sure.
So the Corpse with No Name, as you know, is kind of like we do everything for what I do in Roving Midnight, Hollow Bodies, Blitzkid. We're going to start doing Witch's Dungeon merch on there too. So we're going to have Cortland's got all this amazing artwork, as you were saying earlier. Like he does like scene painting, but like he's painted all these monsters. He's got beautiful watercolors. So we're going to have shirts of that, prints of that, hats, you name it, like all kinds of cool merch up for sale soon.
Awesome.
So all you monster lovers out there,
Dude, right
There's a
now,
lot of them. There's a lot of them.
the other side of this dungeon, on the other side of this, is a carousel restoration place. There right now there is a carousel from Rye Playland. How old is that carousel?
1915, and it's a wooden carousel.
And and it's not
It's
just
got like 67 horses, and I'm doing all the scenic paintings on it.
So it caught on fire, and they're all restoring it. The guy who owns this place, a guy named Bill Frankenstein, is like one of the like world-renowned carousel restorationists, man. Like he's the guy at the top of the game. Not many people do what he does. I wish we could show you. Maybe next time when we do this, Bill will let us come in and do a quick
That would be
walk
nice.
through because
Cool.
it's amazing, man. They're over there repairing, 100-year-old horses and carriages and things like that.
And you wouldn't
Wow.
believe the size of some of this stuff when you see it in person, because
They're big.
you think of the whole carousel as one unit, but you don't realize how many different parts are involved to create it.
But he's got all these crazy, like, amazing paintings that go in the stanchions that go around it that obviously needed to be repainted. So that's been pretty much your year besides this, huh?
Oh yeah. Because I had to work from old postcards that Rye Playland had of some of the older rides and like that, and do scenics of them. And the worst one, oh God, this one was a nightmare to do. They wanted me to do an aerial view of Rye Playland, which is not simple, believe me.
No.
So, but then I had to think of, well, what's the reason for having an aerial view? So I came up with the idea of a balloon, a hot air balloon that is in the picture as if it's flying over the park.
Yeah, it looks awesome.
That's cool.
It really does. And there's that one with the roller coaster with the dragon.
Oh yeah, the dragon coaster. And Rye Playland, I should say this, that's where they shot the final sequence of Big with Tom Hanks. With Zoltar and the
Right.
fish that he had.
Right.
So I did one of the paintings with Zoltar too.
Kind of snuck in the back there.
That's awesome. So there you go, everyone. To be continued. I'll sort out the date with these guys, and we'll have a new tour of all new stuff, and then Goolsby and I will go back in the time machine and discuss our beginnings, and then we've worked together so much now since then. Like we had a rejuvenated time, right, where we've done things in the recent past.
Definitely, man. It's been everything kind of started arcing around like 2017.
Yeah.
Projects that we're working on. I mean, we've been to Europe doing the Roving Midnight. We've been to Europe doing lots of stuff.
Yep.
Not just there, but everywhere else in between. So, but yeah, no, we definitely should. We could probably talk all freaking night about this stuff, but
Yeah.
Poor Cortland, he didn't know what he signed up for tonight. So.
Right. Sorry, Cortland.
Well, it's a
But
great thing that you got to go to Europe, that you were in Europe, and you were able to get those great photographs of the Nosferatu locations.
So I just do want to throw this out there. Speaking of the locations, I did visit I mentioned earlier, we have a gallery that's hidden, one of the 5 hidden galleries
On the DVD.
Yeah, on the DVD of F.W. Murnau's grave, and he's the director of the movie. So,
Right.
funny story, when we showed up, and I believe I've told this story again, so I'm sorry if I said this elsewhere, but me and my buddy Stephen Nacy, we had a day off after Berlin, and we were like, let's go to the cemetery. And it just so happened to be the one where it's Wilmersdorf Kirchen or something like that in Berlin, and that's where Murnau's buried. But we get there, and we're walking, and we see like a lot of they're not armed guards or anything, but they're clearly like cemetery personnel, and they're around Murnau's grave. And we walk up to it, and they're just kind of eyeing us, and we're kind of eyeing them, like, what's the big deal? So we start taking photos, and then we start talking to them, and we found out that not even a week prior to us being there, someone had busted into the vault and broke off F.W. Murnau's head.
Holy shit.
And stole it.
Right.
And it's still missing. So someone,
wow.
Because when they said they stole his head, because there's a big statue, there's a bust of him on I thought they meant they stole a bust. They're like, no, they stole his head, his actual head. So,
yeah, wow,
kind of crazy.
Damn.
There are strange folks out there.
Yeah, for real. It's like, you know what my fireplace needs right now? It needs
the bust.
Right. And who's that guy directing Nosferatu? It needs his head too.
That's a hell of a fireplace.
I ain't gonna lie. If somebody told me they had it, I might try to. But I would take it back eventually. I would do that. That's for sure.
Fucking A. Were you in the streets of Romania with us when we were walking, and like we looked up and saw all the wires, like all the fucking telephone cables and the fucking it was just the messiest fucking shit ever in Romania.
Really, like someone was like, okay, we have power, now what do we do? They just went like this.
It's just like throw it up in that tree.
Yeah. I do want to say this real quick. I'm sorry, I know we keep trying to wrap it up, but speaking of Romania, that's one of my favorite places to play. Oftentimes Romania gets a bad rap because, I mean, out of the European Union, they do tend to have like some issues in terms of what's the word I'm looking for? Like the financial stability of the rest of the union.
Right.
It's a poorer country, and there's no other way to say it. That's not any way like reflective on the people or their spirit. It's just how it is financially. So, and as you're saying, like you see that kind of around, but I love it there, man. It's such a beautiful place. We talked about like Elvira.
Because Cassandra Peterson, she filmed a movie called Elvira's Haunted Hills.
Yeah.
In Romania, and she was. I think they get it. Don't have to go.
Damn.
Cassandra is a hoot. She really is. I remember one day when we were doing one of the conventions together, and I said, "You look fantastic this morning." She said, "Oh, thank you." She says, "It must have been the formaldehyde I had for breakfast." But, no, she was saying that when they filmed Elvira's Haunted Hills, they filmed it all in Romania, and she said we could never afford to have the elaborate sets built in Hollywood as to what these people could build there in Romania. Right. But she says, I got this great compliment that people said, wow, the peasants that you had in that film, they looked so authentic. And she says,
holy shit, yeah, they were authentic.
The peasants. She says they haven't changed in over 100 years.
Yeah.
What we noticed is, like, I remember we were going through the Carpathian Mountains on our way to Cluj-Napoca to play a show in Romania. And we were in the mountains, man, like going through this pass. And then we just happened to this little hamlet village where they were having a wedding. And it was a full-on, I mean, tambourines and people in the streets dancing. It was like a movie set. It was amazing. But the story I was going to bring up is one of the craziest things, I think I told you this story, was we had a train crossing. And, ding, 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 thing comes down and the train's going by. And there's all these just like weeded hills and thickets all around. And we see these little heads start popping up and looking around, and like they're like I'm like, oh my god, it's like little gnomes everywhere start popping up out of the
Sort
grass.
of like Munchkin Land.
Yeah, no, and they were like little kids, dude. They were dirty little kids, and like they all popped up out of the grass, and they started, going down the line asking people for money and whatnot. And our tour manager at the time was an American guy, but he was like an expat and been living in Prague for like 15 years, and he'd been to Romania quite a bit. He's like rolling down the window, and he's like giving them the candy and stuff like that, and they're all happy about it. And he's like, yeah, man. I was like, what's going on exactly right now? I was like, these kids are riding on our van. Like they were riding in the dirt on the van. I was like, they're riding something on the van. He goes, basically what happens is, man, is the parents bring them out here, and they get them to get stuff from people, like food, candy, whatever, and then they'll mark on the vans what each van has. He's like, so you got to be careful, because you can't be like giving people money and stuff like that. And then suddenly on the side of your van, like, these people have money.
These people have candy.
It's a lot easier to get away from a bunch of kids wanting candy.
Yeah.
Adults wanting to rob you. So.
Damn. Using the kids to fucking do their dirty work.
Oh yeah, man. I mean, we would be on the train, and then like the kids would throw tantrums and start screaming and stuff like that, and our tour manager's like, don't get distracted. That's the whole point. It's a distraction. Right. They'll ride the train all day. The parents will be in one booth, send the kids into another car, and then they'll go in there and start ripping up seats and being insane. And then while you're looking at it, it's like,
yep.
But
that's crazy.
Cool place though, man. The show we played there, like most recently.
Yeah, and then I remember the ride home. Remember Stefan was driving through those mountains in the snow trying to get out of there. It was fucking intense. Yeah.
Yes. Oh my god.
Damn.
Forget that dude. That guy's crazy. I loved him.
Yeah. Well, Goolsby, where can people get the tickets for Blitzkid?
So if you go to www.acwnprod.com/shows, so that's an acronym for A Corpse with No Name, shortened productions.com shows. We've got one for the stream that's happening this weekend, and then we have one for the Nosferatu screenings. And and also with Cortland, he's got his website, your Facebook, and all that stuff. PreserveHollywood.org. He's doing a good job at it too.
All right.
Hollywood.
Thanks.
Cool, guys. Thank you for joining us. To be continued. We'll book a date in the future and fucking for all that fun stuff in November. Yeah, guys, thank you for coming on, Cortland. I'm sorry for keeping you so long, but it was a lot of fun, man. I think everyone else enjoyed it. So
to do after the show.
Yeah, we still got stuff to do here, so we're good.
Damn. Okay.
No, dude, thanks, man. It's good seeing you. Thanks for inviting me on, and to everybody out there, thanks for listening. So.
Yeah, dude. All right, goodbye, everybody. Peace.
Enjoyed it. Bye-bye.
Later.
Bye.